Alrighty guys, what's going on everybody? Welcome back here to another tropical update, my friends. We got ourselves a big update here compared to earlier today. We officially have ourselves a cone from the Hurricane Center, as well as a lot of new model data that we are going to be getting on into. But what's up everybody? Let's see who we got here for today. First of all, big shout out goes to Mark and Crystal for the $2 super chat donations. I appreciate that, my friends. Thank you so much, guys. Mark and Crystal, you guys are awesome. Let's see who we got here in the chat. We got Gary, we have Crystal, we have Mark. We got ourselves, let's see here, Raka, we have Black Tornado, we have Weather Gaming, we have Proxy. What's up, guys? Hope everyone's doing good. Glad to have y'all here. Yeah, like I said, I was going to go live at 7, but I kind of fell asleep. I was in a nap, and then I woke up. I'm like, oh, shoot, I need to make a thumbnail. I need to go live, so I'm a little late. Sorry about that. It's just, you know, sometimes, you know, sleep kind of gets in the way of everything. But anyways, all right, y'all, so we got a new cone. Like I mentioned, this is the first of the very first cone that we got here. The storm is actually forecasted to be a hurricane upon landfall out there kind of towards like southwestern Louisiana, or like, you know, very far northern coastal Texas. That's kind of what we're looking out there for. Like I mentioned, you know, it's still a little bit you know, too early to tell exactly where that landfall point's going to be, but you know, these areas ranging from basically the central northern coasts here of Texas to the south central and southwestern coast of Louisiana needs to look out there for it. Proxy coming in with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Proxy. Saying you are amazing. Right back at you, Prox. Thank you so much for that. That is very nice of you. Big shout out goes to Proxy for the $20 super chat. That is really generous of you, Prox. Once again, I appreciate it. Thank you. Big shout out goes to Proxy. Proxy is amazing. Thank you so much, Prox. That is really sweet of you. Let's see here. Trey says, so glad Houston's not getting... well, Houston actually might be in the concern here. See, here's the thing. Houston's actually in the cone. I would honestly keep an eye on it if you live in Houston. There's a good shot that we might even be able to have some heavy rain out there too. And like I mentioned, it really just kind of depends where the thing goes. I mean, worst case scenario for this storm here would be for it to go more to the more away from land to begin with. Because what that's going to end up doing, say the storm did something like this, say it ran across, you know, and was further away from land, that would allow the storm to pick up some more strength, because it'll be fully over the water rather than partly over the water, if that makes sense. So the best case scenario would be for the storm to kind of go, you know, hug the coast here. That would, you know, probably limit how strong it gets. It would get stronger if it went further away from the coast. That's kind of what we're talking about here. So, two different scenarios we're seeing. I mean, you can see the cone's pretty wide. I mean, landfall could happen as far far west as like central coastal Texas, or as far east as central coastal Louisiana. You can still see that there's a pretty big margin here, of uncertainty, and then that's kind of what we need to be monitoring over the next little bit. So at the current moment, it is actually not a tropical storm. It is a potential tropical cyclone, a PTC. It basically means that there's a chance this thing could become a tropical system. Now this will be the next named storm in here in the Atlantic or Gulf, I should say. So as we approach our way out there towards the morning of tomorrow, 2 a.m. tomorrow, we should have sustained winds around 50 miles an hour, gusting up to 65. The storm, could become a tropical storm here at any time, here. So we'll definitely need to watch out for that. Let's see here. North Mississippi might get some rain. Yeah, we're gonna likely get some rain out there. We'll look at the models here in a minute. That's kind of another problem is, this last week we had a lot of rain that fell across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. We did cover that. That was actually our last event we covered, was all that flooding that was ongoing. So there's still a lot of water. Those areas are very saturated right now. And the problem is that, this is just going to add to more totals, which, obviously Louisiana doesn't handle water very well, in which that could be a big problem for my folks who live in Louisiana. So just make sure you guys are ready for the flooding. Like I said, we'll get into the totals and stuff like that. I'm sure the Hurricane Center has graphics on the expected totals, so we'll get into that here in a minute. We'll also dive into models too to kind of just kind of see where all the data is at and kind of check everything. But anyways, yeah. So like I mentioned, as we continue to work our way down in time, as we approach here for the afternoon of the 10th, right around 2 p.m. Eastern time. The storm's going to be just to the east here of the border between Mexico and Texas, near Brownsville, just to the east. It's not going to be at Brownsville, but it should just be east of Brownsville here, right around sustained of 65 miles an hour with gusts up to 75. Then we continue working our way to the northeast here. The morning of the 11th, the storm will be an upper-level tropical storm, nearly a hurricane at that point. Sustained winds of 70 miles an hour with gusts up to 85 for the morning of the 11th. And if you look, we still have a lot of range potentially, a lot of open water here that the storm can pick up some more heat, in which it actually is expected to. And then, of course, at the end of the cone here, the Hurricane Center has this thing being a low-end Category 1 storm here for the afternoon of the 11th. Out there, sustained winds of 75 miles an hour with gusts getting up to 90. So that is that. And then, of course, we'll make landfall sometime probably in the evening of the 11th is kind of when we're looking at, the timing for landfall. And then there's going to be storm surges and stuff like that. I want you guys to go ahead and get ready for that. There's likely going to be some storm surges for south central coastal Louisiana and southwestern coastal Louisiana. There's likely going to be a bit of surges too. So we got to prepare for all kinds of threats, surges, flooding, strong winds, and the list goes on. So obviously we need to be extra weather aware in these regions here. And honestly, like I mentioned, we are still a few days away. The track is likely going to change a little bit. The cone's going to get more narrow the closer we get to landfall. But if you live across these regions, like central, northern coastal Texas, if you live out there towards like southwestern coastal and south central coastal Louisiana, really just southern Louisiana in general, I would highly advise, getting ready for the storm, preparing for it, just go to the store, pick up a couple cases of water, if you don't need it. Like I said, if this thing turns out to be something that's not as big of an issue as we think it is right now, which, like I said, we're still kind of trying to iron things out right now, but you're still going to drink the water anyways. So it's like, better to be prepared. You don't want to wait till last minute to prepare for these storms because, supply and demand is wild with tropical systems. So like I said, just, if you could, just maybe go out, grab a case of water or two. No reason to panic or anything like that. I just want you guys to be prepared and at least, ready for the system here. Let's see. Calvin says, good evening, Andrew. Is Houston, where I live, clear from an incoming hurricane? So no, like I mentioned, Houston's actually in the cone of uncertainty here. More than likely, you're going to be on what we call the clean side of the storm, basically where the winds are a little bit weaker, where you don't have tornado probability. That's another threat I wanted to mention too for like Louisiana, maybe Mississippi, as that low pressure system spins up. Which we can get is tornadoes, cyclone-induced tornadoes, due to the veering winds, the change in wind direction in the atmosphere on the right-hand side. The reason that the right-hand side is the most, or the reason that that's where the tornadoes are, is because that's where a lot of the instability is. That's where most of the moisture is, the stronger winds, and basically just supportive veering winds for tornadoes is on the right-hand side. Meanwhile, the left-hand side, no. So that's another thing I wanted to mention with you guys. Now, as of now, there is no. As of right now, there is no. I had it at the tip of my tongue, but I already lost what I was going to say. There is no threat right now from the Storm Prediction Center regarding tornadoes. But just based off of how these things go, we will likely have some form of tornado threat upon landfall. So that's something that we also need to be monitoring too. So once again, latest Hurricane Center cone here has this thing getting up to a low end Category 1. We'll have to see how this plays out. Some models, as we're getting ready to look at, actually shows it maybe even stronger. So we'll have to be extra careful, and we'll have to continue watching this here very, very closely. Let's see. So when landfall will be Wednesday night into Tuesday. So it's going to be basically for the evening of the 11th, whatever day the 11th is. Let's see here. The 11th is Wednesday, so it'll be like the evening of Wednesday, probably early Thursday upon landfall. The Hurricane Center has it here. You can see for 2 p.m. on the 11th, just shy of the coast here of Texas or Louisiana. But like I said, that's if it makes landfall over here. Like I mentioned, the cone still extends a lot further south. More than likely, we're going to, have landfall probably more towards like Louisiana or northern coastal Texas. But, you never know. Things could trend last minute. It could, go further to the west than we expect, and therefore earlier landfall. But as of right now, we are seeing that landfall going to be there right around like the afternoon here of the 11th, the evening there of the 11th. So we will be watching out for that. Michael says, are we expecting anything in East Tennessee? No, the storm's going to be to your west. As the storm's remnants continue to dig its way into the country, it'll be more to your west. Now, western Tennessee, like, areas out by Memphis and maybe like Nashville, could get a bit of rain from this. This, could bring some rain for you guys. However, more the eastern sides, as we're going to see, it's going to be a little bit more drier out there. So it's not going to be as, crazy for these areas in the east. But yeah, so we'll watch it. We'll see what happens. But at that point, the winds are going to be so depleted, it's only going to be just a bit of a rain thing. Really not much more than that. All right, let's go ahead and hop over here to the Hurricane Center's page. We got a bit of graphics I do want to pull up here for you guys. First of all, I'd want to pull up that rainfall potential, that map here for you. Actually, I'm going to bring this down to you guys. So here's the latest and greatest amount of rainfall. And then, like we were just mentioning, you can kind of see out there in like the western Tennessee, we could pick up maybe 2 to 4 inches. Now, this is early graphics. Now, this is going to change a lot by the time we actually get to these areas here. I can guarantee you that. These rainfall maps are always changing significantly, especially this early out and how we're still, 3+ days away before we even reach these areas. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. But areas down there towards like, coastal Louisiana, might even be able to pick up maybe 6 to 8 inches, locally higher amounts likely. Same out there maybe towards Houston, like 2 to 4 inches. Lake Charles right now is kind of in between the 4 to 6 and 6 to 8. New Orleans could pick up 4 to 6 inches. Like I mentioned, these areas, they just got a lot of rain not long ago. So this is just going to add to even more of those totals there, which is going to be a bit more of a concern, like I mentioned, for flooding. These areas don't really handle water too well. Like I mentioned, like Louisiana really doesn't handle water very well. So it's going to be a big problem for you guys is the flooding. And like I mentioned, on top of that, the storm surge too. If we take a look, I think the storm surge map is out. Is it? I don't actually know. It's not. There is no storm surge map right now, but there will be storm surge. There will be storm surge with this storm here. It depends on the strength. If it's stronger, obviously, the more water is going to be moving around, and therefore larger surges. So we'll have to see, and we'll have to see how that goes. And like I mentioned, if the track goes more to the east, it's going to be more over water, more directly over water, which therefore will, cause the storm to likely get a little bit more stronger versus a scenario of it going further to the west and kind of hugging land a little bit more. Like I mentioned, if it hugs land more, it's probably not going to be as strong. If it goes more to the east and more, away from those coasts there to begin with, then that would allow for the storm to likely pick up some more heat before landfall. So that's kind of what we need to look out there for. But yeah, that's the rainfall map here. Here's your tropical storm force probabilities. Now, the probabilities are pretty low right now due to the fact that we have a lot of uncertainty. These totals will certainly go up as we work our way closer to the event here. But along the coast, we're right around 30-40% chance of tropical storm force winds extending all down throughout the central and northern coastal Texas area, as well as south central and southwestern coastal Louisiana. So we'll have to watch out there. As of now, 30-40%. I guarantee you this time tomorrow, it's going to be a lot higher probability. So we'll definitely be, watching out there for that. But anyways, so that's that. And of course, hurricane wind speed probability, we don't have anything on that right now. So we'll continue monitoring that as well. Flash flooding potential. So here's the thing, my friends. So today, we don't got really any problems going on with flooding. Day 2 outlook here, we got a little bit of a flooding threat starting to kind of materialize down there towards the tip of southern Texas, near Brownsville and some of those regions down there. And then, of course, we work our way over here into Tuesday. You start to notice how that flooding concern starts to be an issue for places along the coast of Texas and Louisiana. So that flooding concern is going to start there for Tuesday, going into Wednesday. So we'll need to, be watching out for the flooding. Once again, like I mentioned, there's going to be storm surge with this system. There's going to be a lot of water pushing against the coast here. Like I said, we don't have any maps to really show us how much right now due to the fact that there's still a big uncertainty in strength. We'll continue watching that, but there will be storm surge, even if this thing's a tropical storm. Tropical storms do cause some mild storm surge. Like I mentioned, there is some models that even show the storm here potentially being, bigger than a Category 1. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And actually, that's where I'm going to take you guys next here. We're gonna pop up to the models here. So earlier, I don't know if you guys remember, if you guys were here during our earlier update, the GFS has been going nuts over the system here, and let me go ahead and explain and show you. So not the recent model run, but the last model run from earlier this afternoon, look what the model was showing. GFS had this thing becoming a beast of a storm here. The pressure getting down into the 960s and even the 950s before landfall. Now, pressure equivalent of a storm that strong would be well over Category 1. That would likely be like Category 2, maybe even Cat 3, according to the GFS here. But once again, this is one model. Take this with a grain of salt. This model is it has its ups and downs. It's not always accurate, so keep that in mind. Now, moving on to the newest run. So that was the one we looked at earlier. This is the newest one that just came out not too long ago. So this one still has the storm being very strong. Still has that pressure down into the lower 960s, making landfall there kind of in like the mid 960 millibar range. That would be more than a Category 1, according to the GFS. But like I mentioned, this is, take this with a grain of salt. GFS sometimes like to overdo things, but we'll see if that's, the truth or not. But we'll definitely keep an eye out there for that. But I wanted to mention that. So then we hop over to Euro. This is the ECMWF. The latest Euro, wow, man, that's a big uptrend. That is a big uptrend since earlier. So if you guys remember in the earlier update today, Euro was showing the storm only being like maybe a low-end tropical storm. Pressure's now in the 970 millibar range, according to the the latest long-range ECMWF run. That, my friends, based off of pressure alone, would definitely be hurricane. Let's see what the winds are here. I see a bit of like, it's hard to see, but there's a little bit of like whitish pink. So that would be like, yeah, right around Category 1 or so, according to the Euro here. before making landfall. And this model has it making landfall for 11 p.m. on the 11th here. So that's that. Meanwhile, the GFS, the latest run, obviously, yeah, GFS has it stronger, 8 p.m., maybe a little earlier than what the Euro was showing. But you can see both of them have that landfall down there towards like south central Louisiana coast. You can see they're really not that far off from one another. I mean, look at that. Look how close they are. They're on point, man. They're on point. They both agree on the track here. It's just the intensity. They're still not quite, known yet. But regardless, I mean, we got good agreement. We do between the two main models. So that's a little bit concerning. It seems like the models have been popping off here. Let's see here. Central Louisiana ball under the gun. Yeah, even Central Louisiana needs to heavily watch this storm here, as it very well could, go right over Central Louisiana. Depends on what model you look at there, but yeah, no, definitely if you live in Louisiana in general, I want you guys to be weather aware. I want you guys to be watching this storm here pretty closely because, like I mentioned, this thing's likely going to have some heavy impacts out there overall. Let's see. Davis says, hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, Davis. I appreciate that. Appreciate it. John says, apparently the tracking chart shows it coming to Chicago. So not quite. You can see above me here. The top of the cone has it going into Illinois. But like I mentioned, this storm would be so depleted by the time it even gets here. Those winds won't even really be existent anymore. It's just going to be rain showers, nothing more than you're not used to. That's even if it can make it up there, which that's a very long distance. And this thing's going to be a depression by the time it reaches Arkansas, yet alone passing Arkansas, going through Missouri, all the way through Illinois. At that point, it's just going to be really nothing more than just a little bit of rain. But yeah, no, not a big issue. Not a big issue for those regions there. Let's see here. New Orleans going to be in some trouble. Yeah, New Orleans is going to have some potential issues. The good news is that the storm is going to be a little bit further to the west of New Orleans there. Obviously, if it was to go more to the east, it would be more of an issue. The good news is that it is going to be a little bit further to the west, but there will definitely be some impacts for New Orleans, with the system if it does go the track that we're expecting. Like I mentioned, as of right now, the models really agree on the fact that the storm is going to be making landfall somewhere along the Louisiana coast here. Most likely either the southwestern or the south central coastline is where this thing's likely going to make landfall. So we'll have to see how that plays out there. Yes, yeah. The models they do show relatively similar tracks. Like I mentioned here, Euro. This is the ECMWF here, making landfall literally right on that south central coastal area. And then of course we have the GFS, and you can see that the GFS is on the money as well, pretty much right in that region there. So that is, certainly good. It's good that the models are agreeing right now because it gives these areas a little bit more of a heads up. And like I mentioned, if you live out there towards coastal Louisiana, south central coastal or southwestern coastal Louisiana, seriously, I want you guys to be prepared for this. I want you guys to start getting ready for it. It's still a couple days away, but it can never hurt, man, to get some water, get some non-perishable foods and stuff like that ready, because like I mentioned, once the more that this gets out into the public, the more people are going to go out and get things. So the earlier the better. So if you can get a couple of cases of water, just to hold you over for a couple weeks if needed, then I would highly recommend it. Go ahead and start doing that tomorrow. I mean, you don't have to drop everything you're doing right now to do it, but just start getting ready for it. If you live out there towards coastal Louisiana, same thing for even northern coastal Texas, I would say keep an eye out there for those regions as well. All right, let's hop over to another model here. Let's take a look at the CMC, and then we'll go to Icon here, and then we'll dive into the main hurricane models and the spaghetti plots and stuff like that. So we'll get to that here in a minute. So yes, here's CMC. This model obviously doesn't show the storm as crazy as the Euro and the GFSA. You can kind of see how, what I was talking about. According to this model, you see how close it is to Texas's coast. That's that's kind of what I'm talking about here. You know, if it goes further to the west, it's going to not be as strong. If it goes further out into the water, it's going to be picking up more heat, and it's not going to have hardly any limitations for strengthening. That's the thing. And the models kind of have it, the Euro and the GFS have it going further east than this model, therefore more stronger. You know, like I said, we're seeing landfall over here according to the GFS and the Euro. Meanwhile, this storm, or this model here, has it kind of making landfall near that northern point of coastal Texas, maybe even like extreme southwestern Louisiana coast, according to that. So we'll need to watch out for that. So there is going to be a tornado threat. Whether there is going to be a tornado threat, like I said, you know, with tropical systems, you get those cyclone-induced tornadoes. As of now, there's no risk from the SPC, you know, due to the fact we're still, you know, a couple days away. But there will likely be a tornado threat for portions of Louisiana and Mississippi. Maybe even Alabama, we'll have to see. Depends on where it goes, of course. But, you know, there will likely be a tornado threat with the storm here midweek. So we'll need to prepare for that as well. You know, storm surge along the coasts, you know, heavy rainfall, like I said, plus all that heavy rainfall we've had previously this week, or this last week here. So, you know, flooding is a big problem. Surges, rainfall, tornadoes, strong winds, you know, there's a lot of impacts with this storm here. So definitely want you guys to watch it. Then we're going to roll our way over here into the Icon. Like I mentioned, everybody loves Icon somehow. This model... So you can see the model, this one has it going a lot further away from the coast compared to that last model, therefore getting stronger. That last model had it getting down into the 990s. Meanwhile, this model has it getting down into the lower 980s, which this would be in that Category 1 realm there, roughly right around Category 1. So that seems most probable right now between the models. Like the Euro showed this thing kind of maybe an upper level Category 1. This model kind of has us maybe in a lower Category 1. The GFS had us maybe even a Category 2 or higher. So we'll have to see how, you know, that continues to hold up, you know, with the models over the next couple of days, and, you know, what they start to trend towards. But one of the big things I do want to mention here is the fact that this model also has it making landfall down there on that south central coastline. You see that? Literally on the far south central coastline there, that is that. Now, the problem with this is that, you know, this would prime the environment for potential tornadic activity towards like Baton Rouge and New Orleans, where we could have some tornadic issues. Like I mentioned, you know, that cyclone-induced tornado probability will be there, you know, here for pretty much like the 11th, probably even starting as early as the 10th, you know, as that storm kind of approaches and that wind shear starts to, you know, become supportive for tornadoes. But most of that's probably going to be for the 11th, maybe into the 12th too, for places maybe towards like Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. We'll have to see about Alabama. Just depends how far east that storm goes. But as of now, the models kind of have it going through like Louisiana, going through Mississippi, and then out there towards like either northeastern Arkansas or western Tennessee there, with the central low, before, you know, completely depleting and kind of just fading into a bunch of showers essentially. So, you know, that's kind of what we need to be looking out there for. All right, so let's go ahead and hop over to the main hurricane models. So we'll look at these, and then we'll do the main hurricane models, and then we'll dive over into the spaghetti plot and the intensity guidance, and then we'll do more like analysis, and then we'll hop back to like the cone and the more of the graphics and stuff like that for you guys. Okay, so anyways, but yeah, let's go ahead and hop over here to 6. This is the storm here, HWRF. This is the 18 Zulu, new run coming through here, and you can see according to the HWRF, look how close that thing gets to southern Texas, you know, just off the coast there, like Brownsville. Pressure down in the 980s. Pretty small system per se from what this model suggests. And as we work our way down in time, this model has it going right, or kind of aiming those winds right into the Galveston Bay there, which would, you know, probably cause maybe some surges along the Galveston Bay area. Could be a bit of an issue. Pressure getting down into the 970s before landfall takes place right there in that northern coastline. Like I said, this is the border right here. This is Louisiana. This is Texas, and it's like literally right on that far northern edge of the coast there, where those winds are going to be pounding the coast according to the HWRF. Now, this model has those winds getting up into 87 knot territory, which that would be above a Category 1. That would be like, let's see, I think that would be like Category 2. Let's do a knots to miles an hour conversion. So that model suggests sustained winds of 87 there, which that would be 100 miles an hour. That would be like what? Category 2, right? Let's see here. I'm going to pull up the Saffir-Simpson scale. Let's see. So I said 100. So that would be a category 2, like a mid-end category 2, according to the HWRF here. So this model suggests a category 2. And actually being a Cat 2, as it just passes just east of the central coastal area here of Texas. So we'll have to monitor this. Yeah, this model compared to like the GFS and the Euro actually has the system hugging more of the coast here. And it still gets this strong, which is a little bit concerning. The fact that it's still this strong and it's hugging the coast this close, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. As the other models have it going a lot further east. Like I mentioned, GFS having it kind of, in Euro, kind of having it go out here rather than over here. So that would be more of an issue. Like I said, the more it trends to the east here, the more issues we're going to probably have, likely picking up some more strength and stuff. So that's HWRF. Once again, that shows us getting down possibly even to a hurricane before we even approach the latitude here of Texas. I mean, this one has the thing picking up quick, according to this model. All right, moving on over here to HMON. This is another hurricane model. This one, as you can see at this time, barely even has this thing even anything. We work our way down in time. This model in particular really doesn't grab a hold of this storm. This is what we call an outcast, or kind of like an outcast model. How it kind of disagrees from all the other models. Therefore, we can kind of throw this one in the dumpster, at least this run here, because this thing doesn't even have it even barely a depression. Honestly, I mean we're already. This model just really doesn't get a hold of that storm there. Then moving on to the HFSA, this is one of two models. Now this one I see as a fair argument here. Look at that! Wow, look how strong those winds are off the coast. So just before landfall here. This has the pressure down in the 960s, maybe upper 960s, just before landfall there, making landfall maybe the lower 970 millibar range. And you guys can't see that, but right under the time there, it shows 89 knots maximum winds at this point. So this would be for the morning of the 11th. And at the morning of the 11th here, having sustained winds of 89 knots. Let me pull this up real quickly. I need to convert this. So that last one was 87 knots. 89 knots would be 102 miles an hour sustained, according to this model here. So that's what I was saying. Not all models hold it at Cat 1 or tropical storm. There's a handful of models that show even stronger. Like GFS was kind of showing stronger as well. HFSA showing that too, and also the HWRF, the model we were just looking at, the model before last, showed that as well. So, don't get yourself fully fixed on Cat 1. As of right now, that is kind of where I would run with things. I would say that the storm would likely be a low-end Cat 1 upper tropical storm, but the way if models continue agreeing like this, and if they continue to show themselves like they're showing now, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing those higher numbers going up. And like I mentioned, there's two hypothetical scenarios. One of the scenarios is, like I said, this thing kind of hugs the coast here, which partially part of the storm would be over Texas, kind of stunting, kind of slowing down its growth. It would still be strengthening, but it wouldn't be as, ultimately as strong as, some of the storm would be kind of hugging the coast. Now, what the models mostly agree on is that the storm actually remaining further away from Texas, being completely out in the open waters, which would allow the storm to kind of pick up some heat. The waters out here are extremely warm. The Gulf has had barely any tropical activity this year. The waters are primed and ready to go. They have been for months at this point. So the waters are very warm. Once again, moisture. That's another thing I want to talk about. Like, the amount of moisture in the storm here. To begin with, there's a lot of moisture. This bluish green color that's showing a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, which moisture is needed for thunderstorms, and those thunderstorms organize the system. If you don't have those thunderstorms, then the storm's just not going to strengthen. And you can kind of see the brown. So once we get into like this white and brownish tan color here, that's whenever the atmosphere becomes really unsupportive for a lot of thunderstorm activity. And look at this. As we approach our way towards landfall, you notice how that southern portion of the storm gets a lot of infiltrated drier air. Grab it a sounding, you can see our mid-levels here are very dry, very dry. So that's one of the concerns that we're going to have to, or one of the things we're going to definitely need to be monitoring is, how dry that air is going to be, because that's going to affect its strength. And according to this model here, or most of the models actually, as the storm makes that landfall, that southern side will probably be picked up with some dry air. And a matter of fact, look at this, guys. Here's the satellite imagery right now. If we take a look at it, you see this dark kind of this black color here. So there's the storm right now. That's the storm right there. But you can see this black here. That is actually dry air. And so as the storm kind of pulls up, this dry air is probably going to get sucked up into that storm. And that's what the model here is kind of depicting in the brown color, is this drier air getting into that storm there. So that could be an issue. And that would certainly play a role in its strength, upon landfall and stuff. But it seems like the dry air really doesn't get a hold of the storm until as it's making landfall, which wouldn't be very much useful for us. You can really see that dry air kind of pulling in as we make landfall there, and then the storm just kind of, the whole southern side just turns to dry air. Meanwhile, the northern is still convecting with some storms you can see there. If you look that, if I grab a sounding here, like let's just grab one up in the northern portion somewhere. You see how our upper levels are pretty dry there, but our mid and our lower atmosphere is fairly saturated. Meanwhile, our southern atmosphere here in the southern part of the storm, look how spaced out our temperatures and our dew points are. They are very spaced out, meaning lower humidity and overall lower moisture content in the atmosphere. So that, my friends, would be a big problem for the storm there. But at that point, like I said, the dry air really doesn't start getting to it until like as it's making landfall. So we'll have to kind of see there. But anyways, all right, moving on over here into the HFSB model. This is another HFS model. This one, it looks like it has it a little closer to the coast there. Still a lot of moisture available here. Pressure getting down into, as we approach the latitude of southern Texas here, the pressure is going to be maybe in the lower 990s, upper 980s. We work our way down in time. This model has it picking up some strength, but look at that. As we approach land there, you see that dry air kind of peaking under the storm there. That, my friends, that would be an issue. And that would allow for the storm to, like I said, stop strengthening for one, but also maybe even weaken a little bit as it makes landfall. But, it'll probably be near its peak strength while it's just off the coast of Louisiana, either that or right on the coast of Louisiana. This model here shows that pressure getting down into the mid 970s here for the 11th, the day of landfall. Like we were mentioning, landfall is going to be there for the evening of the 11th. That is whenever we are expecting, as of now, the landfall of the storm to be, which will be either out there towards like the central, southwestern coast of Louisiana or like northern coastal Texas is where this thing's likely going to be making that landfall at. But anyways, let me take a look at the lower level winds here. You can see that according to this model, those maximum winds get up to 89 knots. That would make this thing Category 2. Sustained. This one frame here has this kind of 89 here for the afternoon of the 11th at its peak strength, according to this model, having sustained winds of 89 knots, which that would push us over into Category 2 realm. So, the way that the latest set of models is talking, it seems like the models are, picking up on the possibility of this thing maybe even be a bit more stronger than Category 1. As of right now, though, I would expect the storm to be, it to be a Category 1 at this current state. The Hurricane Center has it at Category 1. That's where kind of the median is of the models, kind of maybe mid-upper level Category 1 is where the median of the models kind of show us here, based off of what we've seen so far. So I would, as of now, expect it to be a Cat 1, but don't be surprised if it gets stronger. Don't be surprised if it, I think maximum goes up to maybe 2, maybe upper level category 2. I think kind of where the cap, like the peak, is going to probably come out. Right now, it's not expected to be Cat 2, but that's kind of where where I think it's possible. I think it theoretically could get into the category 2 realm. So we'll definitely need to be monitoring that. Like I mentioned, a handful of models have it getting into that realm, with the peak strength being just off the coast of Louisiana before making that landfall, as that drier infiltration of air starts to really roll its way into that southern part of the storm. Lower humidity, less convection, less storm activity. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. The dry air will moderate the storm. Yeah, it will. And like I mentioned, you can really see in that image there as the system makes landfall. This is the HFSB model for the people just joining. You can see, according to this model, 11 p.m. on the 11th, so the evening of the 11th here, that area here in the brown, this is showing a lot of dry air. Like I said, that would completely cut off all convection in the storm. I mean, look how dry that is, man. Look how dry. I mean, our lower atmosphere is still fairly saturated, so there's going to be some cloud cover still, but the mid levels where a lot of that matters right now is going to be dry, and there's hardly going to be any convection. Not to mention, there's a big cap too in this environment, so there would be no storms happening on that southern side as the storm kind of rolls through. So that would allow the storm to quickly weaken. Potentially, so that would be good. Hopefully, the dry air gets to it earlier. If the dry air kind of gets to it, as some of the models are saying, at that landfall point, it's not going to do a whole lot. But if the dry air kind of gets to it, before the storm gets to landfall, that would be better. Meaning that the storm might have a little bit of a chance to kind of weaken a bit. What's up, Omar? Hope you're doing good, man. Let's see. How much longer am I going to go live? I don't know, man. I don't know. Just kind of winging it here. But anyways, yeah, so that's that. Let's see here. What else we got? So, yeah, we looked at the GFS here. Here's a more of a zoomed-in version of the GFS here. You can see pressure. This model is kind of the most aggressive. The GFS is more aggressive right now, showing that pressure getting down into maybe the lower 960 millibar range. You can see that dry air on the bottom side. All models pick up on that, so there's going to be dry air as we approach landfall here. Still a lot of moisture, likely a lot of heavy rain going on up there towards Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas at this point in time. A lot of rain up here, no convection down here, which that would, like I said, cause the storm to maybe destabilize a little bit as it's, as it's working its way in. Because, if you got storms happening on one side of the storm and not completely around the storm, that's not going to allow the storm to strengthen and more than likely not even sustain itself. So it's going to start weakening at that point. So that's a big issue, but there will still be a lot of rain with the system. Don't worry about that, or definitely watch out for rain if you live out there in Louisiana. Once again, you guys last week got a lot of rain. This is just going to add to more totals overall. So speaking of totals, we're going to first of all take a look at the models on the spaghetti plots. Both intensity and guidance in terms of track, and then we'll dive into the rainfall expectancy between the models, and then we'll go over the overall everything else here. But I wanted to go ahead and show you guys that. We're going to hop you all over here real quick. I'm going to bring the models down to you. It seems like the models are actually on fair agreement. I ain't going to lie. I'm kind of happy with what the models are, what they're kind of talking about right now. So the medium point, you can see where the storm is going to ultimately track. You can kind of, grab that main density area. It seems like the models are really agreeing on that system. Just remaining off the coast of Texas and not making landfall until we get to that northern coast of Texas, either the northern coast of Texas or the Louisiana coast. That's likely where that storm's going to be making landfall. Most of the effects is going to be across Louisiana, once that storm per se is say once the storm is here, that's going to be allowing all that winds and all of that wave activity to be pushing against the coast, causing swelling and causing storm surge. So that's going to be, a big problem for Louisiana. And like I said, obviously the stronger the storm it is, the stronger the shear, or sorry, I almost said shear. The stronger the storm it is, the stronger the, basically the storm surge is going to be. Because, you have stronger winds and a stronger storm, and those stronger winds move more water, therefore, is allowing for the storm here to, kind of pond a lot more water against the coast there overall. So Yeah, definitely is a bit of an issue. Is it moving more westward? Not really. It seems like the models are kind of stationary from where we were talking about earlier. Mostly, just remaining off the coast there and making landfall up there towards like Texas or Louisiana coast. So we'll have to see. Looking forward to chasing this one. Yeah, be safe out there, man. I'll be doing the feed if like I said, I remember you writing me the other day asking if I wanted to collab again. Yeah, we can do that. Be cool with me, man. Just let me know when you're gonna go live, and we'll throw up Omar's feed here. He's a storm chaser. He's gonna be chasing a storm here, so we can get some live views coming in. That'd be pretty nice. But yeah, big shout out goes to Omar, man. Let's see. YouTube won't let me live stream until 50 subscribers, which I'm only 17 away. I'll be on next new channel. Okay, sounds good, man. Yeah. Big shout out goes to Omar. Let's see. But all right, so let's take a look here at the guidance here. This is a big uptrend since earlier. I don't know if you guys remember this. If you guys were here during the last update we did earlier this afternoon, you would have remembered how all the models had this thing, kind of in that tropical storm force realm. It seems like the models are peaking a little more stronger now. As you can see, we have a good majority of the models. This is a good half of the models here peaking at like forecast hour 60. Yeah, this literally has the storm kind of peaking there towards maybe mid upper level category 1. That's a good half of the models that suggest that. Of course, we have that one showing Cat 2. As we looked at the independent models, individually, there was a handful of models that showed this thing maybe briefly getting up to Category 2. That's why I'm saying I can't rule out a Cat 2 right now. I'm expecting this storm to be a Category 1, so prepare for at least a Category 1. I don't think it would really, at least from what I'm seeing, get anything bigger than Category 2. At maximum strength, what I believe, I think this thing, could peak maybe Cat 2, but anything stronger than that, more than likely not. It's just, not really favorable for anything stronger at this point. So I'm thinking, personally, maybe mid-upper level Category 1. Worst case scenario, maybe like lower mid Cat 2. We'll have to see how that plays out. Like I said, not all models agree on that, but there is a handful of supporters that seems to be trending in the possibility of this thing being stronger. Once again, it really just kind of depends on where it goes. If it tracks further out to sea here, like I mentioned, if this thing kind of does more of a track, being further away from the coast of Texas, that would allow the storm to pick up some more heat, likely pick up some more strength, versus, say, if it was to kind of ride the coast here of Texas. That would be obviously a better scenario, meaning the storm wouldn't be as strong. It would also indicate an earlier landfall and stuff like that. So just remember, those areas are also still in the cone there. By Houston, Houston, while likely this storm is going to be passing to your east, there is still possibility of some impacts out there for Houston. But as of right now, it seems like the area of landfall is going to likely be somewhere in here. Either that northern coast of Texas near Galveston, or north there, or either that or like south central Louisiana coast or southwestern Louisiana coast there. Is there any other hurricanes? Yes, there's actually two tropical hurricanes. We don't really know. I don't really think so right now, but there is actually two other systems we're watching. Look at this. We got two areas here. They upgraded the probability to high here for this one. This is 92L. 70% chance of overall formation in the next week. 60% chance of formation in the next 2 days or 48 hours. And then this guy over here is not expected to fire off in the next 2 days or the next 48 hours. 0% chance. However, the next 7 days, next week, is about a 50-50 shot. So medium probability, high probability, and, this one's certain at this point. So, yeah, we'll definitely be watching out for that. Let's go over the rainfall totals for the storm again, and then we'll actually take a look at the overall tropical view, okay? We'll go ahead and do that for you guys, because obviously I want to give you guys full on spectrum of information on all systems and everything like that. But all right, let's go ahead and hop our way over here. We're gonna go ahead and bring up our models again. I'm actually gonna bring you guys over here. We're gonna pull up the GFS. We're gonna look at the southeast here. So this is the latest 18 Zulu GFS. This is the craziest model of the bunch, I should say. This is the one that was showing the strongest, showing that getting down into like the 960s. But yeah, let's take a look here at the total precipitation. Take this with a grain of salt. These models are not perfect for accumulation, but they get a good idea. Wow, man, look at that though. So as we approach our way into this is from now until the 13th here, you can see that we have a big column of probably over a foot of rain out there. We're at that landfall point, being there in south central Louisiana. Like I mentioned, the landfall point, could be anywhere from like the northern Texas coast to like, kind of east central Louisiana's coast. More than likely, like I mentioned, it's going to be probably somewhere in this range, either like southwestern coastal Louisiana or south central, more than likely. But yeah, man, look at that. The model suggesting some areas over a foot of rain. Up there towards like Mississippi, we could pick up, maybe 2 to 4 inches across the majority of the state there. Western Tennessee getting a bit as well. Somebody asking about Tennessee earlier, like I mentioned, there's not as much rain. You might get a little bit of showers from it, but it's not going to accumulate to be much. But western, out there towards like Memphis, yeah, you guys could certainly pick up some. Same thing towards like Little Rock, Arkansas. Just eastern Arkansas in general could get a lot of precipitation out of the storm here in general. So that is something to look out there for. Now Florida, I think these are just normal Florida storms causing that rainfall, so that's not a part of the system. But yeah, all of this here, that's a pretty good amount of rain. Now Euro ECMWF here, you can see, honestly isn't that much different, to be honest with you. You can actually see this model kind of a little bit lower, of course, maybe down towards 8, maybe 9 inches, locally higher amounts being possible. Out there at that point of landfall. Mississippi still, roughly picking up anywhere from 2 to 4 inches along that western side there potentially. Same thing for like Arkansas, maybe 2, 3, 4 inches, locally higher amounts possible. So, it's certainly going to be a bit of rain out there. And like I mentioned, Louisiana seems to be kind of in the area where more, the most of the rain's going to be. So we'll need to watch out there for that. Like I mentioned last week, they got a lot of rain out there as well. So we're just going to be adding more and more rainfall, to these areas, which is just going to be kind of a big problem. It's going to be kind of a big issue there overall. So anyways, so that's that. What was I going to say we were going to look at? We'll take a look at the other areas in the tropics here, and then I'll go into Q&A for you guys, and then that'll wrap up our live stream for the night. Like I said, we're getting closer to our hour mark here. We typically stream about an hour for each update live stream. We'll do more tomorrow. I'll do 2 update streams tomorrow for you guys, so we'll get you all prepared for tomorrow. As we get more data coming out, we'll do a morning live stream sometime probably in the afternoon, like probably noon or so. We'll see, and then we'll do another live stream tomorrow evening, either between like 6 or 8 o'clock p.m., sometime around there. I'll try to shoot for. All right, so like I mentioned, here's GFS here. So obviously, there's the big system. That's the one we're watching here. According to the GFS, these two guys, interesting, look like fish storms. So it looks like, I think that's 92 L, if I'm not mistaken. That's hard to tell. I think that's that other system that had a 50% chance probability of development. Working its way up there, either that or that. Regardless, has... Whoa. What is up with that? Okay, that's a weird take from the GFS, showing another potential tropical cyclone. Yeah, it's probably going to be gone in the next model. Yeah, look at the previous model, wasn't even there. But bottom line though is that there's not really a whole lot of craziness going on in the tropics other than this guy here that we're watching. It does look like the models are picking up a lot more tropical activity as we roll into this month here. September obviously we're at peak hurricane season now. I think tomorrow is peak hurricane season, like the day. So we still got a couple months worth of hurricane season for one, but also, like I mentioned, anything else other than this system, we do have those 2 areas we're watching, but I don't think will be much of an issue. Depends on what it does. You can kind of see that previous model, there was no system, and the latest model shows a system like north of the Lesser Antilles there. That's, like I mentioned, that's uncertain due to the fact that the models are so different right now. I mean, look at that. The previous model run didn't show that system, and the latest one does. So we'll have to, just monitor that and see if anything changes. But anyways, really the only one we need to really pay attention to right now is this guy over here, the one in the Gulf. That's where the main issue is. Let's see. I heard that the 18 Zulu ensemble runs have jogged slightly east, more towards Houston. That's got me scared. That would be more to the west, probably. Likely the system's going to be passing east of Houston. Now, you're probably going to have some impacts, regardless. There's probably going to be some gusty winds of it. You're probably going to notice, a bit of rainfall, too. Now, you're probably going to feel some impacts, but I think a lot of the heaviest impacts are going to be just to your east. And the good news is that you're going to be what we call in the clean side of the storm. There's the clean and the dirty side of the storm. The right-hand side is the dirty side, where you have your strongest wind shear, your instability, your moisture is at its strongest, plus that veering wind shear pattern, which would allow for tornadoes to happen. Meanwhile, the left-hand side, not really as supportive for like tornadoes and stuff like that. So you're likely going to be on the left-hand side, the more cleaner side. So that would be good. But yeah, I mean, Houston's in the cone. I mean, we'll keep an eye on it, but more than likely, the storm's going to be making landfall east of you, east and north of you. What about Missouri? Missouri is not going to really, we're going to get a little bit of rain, but the winds are going to be mostly depleted by the time we get there. So probably not going to be much of an issue for you guys. Like I mentioned, maybe a little bit of rain, but nothing really as crazy as like Louisiana or Mississippi. I think Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas are going to be like the most impacted states with the storm. Mostly Louisiana, I think, is going to take some of the heaviest, if not the heaviest, impacts. We'll be out there towards Louisiana. How can I see hurricane hunters in line going through the storm? There is a handful of sites, like the one I use here, Tropical Tidbits. You can go to that site and go to Aircraft Recon. Here, let's hop you down here. We actually got a mission ongoing, or finished here. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, they did a mission into the storm here. Oh wow. Yeah, we got peak winds of right around 45 knots. So, like I said, this thing has winds of tropical storm force, but it's not a tropical storm. Like I mentioned, while we have the winds that's as strong as tropical storm force winds, the wind field is not fully developed. So the structure is not fully developed. Therefore, it's not a tropical storm right now, even though it has winds equivalent of tropical storm force. Does that make sense? So we're kind of just waiting for that wind field to fully kind of show itself. And once it does, then obviously we'll have a tropical storm on our hands. Likely next update. I'd say probably with tomorrow morning. I think by the time we do our next live stream update, I guarantee you, or I'm very, very confident that we'll be in our tropical storm realm at that point. What are the impacts? How severe? Anything like Beryl, which Houston hasn't recovered from yet? There could be some heavy impacts. Like I mentioned, Beryl was a Category 1. This storm's expected to be a Category 1 as well. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of rain that was on the forecast we looked at. Some areas could see as high as maybe 8, 12 or greater regarding inches of rainfall. We'll have to see. As of right now, though, the one I would go off of, but just know that this is going to change. The latest guidance from the Hurricane Center, actually more the Weather Prediction Center here, regarding the rainfall. This is what I would mostly go off of right now. You can kind of see here maybe like 6 to 8 inches out there towards like the landfall point. Remember, this is likely going to change as we approach our way to this point, as we get here, because, we still have a couple of days to work our way up here in the Western Gulf before making that landfall on the 11th, late 11th. So we're still about like 3 days away from landfall. So we still have about 3 days exactly. Right around this time on the 11th, probably we'll be getting close to landfall at that point. So. But yeah, no, I mean, look at that. Yeah, 6 to 8 inches. Good amount of rainfall out there, like Lake Charles, right on the border between that 6 to 8 and 4 to 6 realm. New Orleans, 4 to 6 inches. Like I said, Louisiana does not handle water very well, especially considering like New Orleans is like below sea level. It's not really good. Houston, 2 to 4 inches. Still a good amount of rainfall, stuff like that. And, of course, a lot of areas out there towards, like Alabama, Mississippi, in the dark green there, 2 to 4 inches overall. So, but anyways. Let's see here. Steve, my man, coming in here with a $25 super chat. Dude, Steve, thank you so much, man. That is really nice of you. That is super sweet of you, saying thanks. Things have been pretty calm here in Wichita this summer, so I've been slacking on watching much, but here's a little something to help out your great station. Take care. Thank you so much, man. Steve, that is really sweet of you, bro. I appreciate that. big thank you goes to Steve. You guys, please give Steve a big thank you in the chat. That is really, really nice of you, my friend. I'm going to go ahead and leave a heart on that for you. Seriously, that means a lot to me, and seriously, thank you from the bottom of my heart. That really helps me out a lot more than you think. So appreciate it. Big shout out goes to Steve, man. Thank you so much for your support, dude. That is very, very nice of you. But anyways, folks, well, like I mentioned, we're gonna get into the Q&A part. Like I said, we typically do about an hour live stream per update here. We're about to hit an hour here, so we're going to go ahead and wrap our way here to the questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them down in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer. If you guys want me to take a look at something, to re-go over something that we already did, let me know. Like I said, I'm here for you. I want to help you guys out. I want you guys to be weather aware, and I want to, show you what we're kind of expecting with the storm here, and all that stuff. So, like I mentioned, if there's anything you guys want me to re-go over, or any questions you might have about the system, let me know, okay? And like I said, and we'll probably head off here pretty soon. It's getting a little bit later and stuff like that. I need to make dinner and stuff too. I'm getting a little hungry. But anyways, yeah, once again, Steve, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Proxy as well. Proxy Steve, also Mark, and also, yeah, especially a big shout out goes to Steve, Mark, Proxy, all of you guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, and as well as Crystal too. Yeah, Crystal. Appreciate y'all's support today, guys. Thank you so much. Can I check the wind speeds and rainfall amounts for San Benito, Texas? Yeah, let me do that real quickly. We're not going to do many zip codes, guys, but I will do yours real quickly. Hold on, let's see here. You, my friend, are going to be okay. Yeah, so you're going to be there to the west of you're west of the cone. So the main storm's going to be passing to your east. So as the storm is like on the same latitude as you, it's going to be sustained at 65, gusts up to 75, but that's off the coast of you. You'll probably get some gusty winds. I wouldn't say anything like significant, and also rainfall kind of varies, probably like 2 to 4 inches. Like I mentioned, if it hugs the coast, scenario A, if it goes closer to the coast there, you're going to probably get more rain. And if it goes more out to sea, which the models kind of suggest, something like that, you'll probably see a little bit less. But as of now, I would go off maybe like 2 to 4 inches for now. So, but anyways, absolutely. But yeah, so like I said, this is what I would go off of, regarding the rainfall totals as of now. At the current moment, this is what we're expecting. But I will tell you this. I will give you all a disclaimer. This map will change. This will change. Tomorrow, I would not be surprised if it looks totally different. That's the thing about the WPC outlooks, is that they're always changing. They're always changing. As we get more models and more averages and stuff like that. So, anyways, Jasmine, we'll have to see. Maybe gusting up to that high is possible, but as of right now, you're not going to see anything too crazy. Let's see here. Do I think that this may cause another tornado outbreak in western New York? We don't know that far. That is, still very far away. I mean, like I said, we're still 3 days away from landfall, yet alone even remotely getting close up there is going to take another additional couple days. So that's a little out of our realm here. I don't really like looking too far, because the further you go out, the more inaccurate it gets. And more than likely, actually, this storm's going to be west of New York. Like I mentioned, the cone here, you can see the extended cone has this thing going up more towards the Midwest rather than more towards like the Ohio Valley. It has it more than likely going up there towards like Louisiana, or sorry, well, yeah, of course Louisiana, but also up there towards like Illinois and stuff. So we'll see. Let's see here. Rob says, going to Blockbuster, 1999, Oklahoma tornado. I was living in Lawton. Wow. That's crazy, dude. What do I think about Tennessee? Eastern Tennessee might get, traces of rain. Western Tennessee, on the other hand, could get a couple inches. Look at that. So, yeah, you can see that the eastern side, under an inch for the most part. Knoxville, less than an inch, more than likely. However, areas out towards like Nashville, maybe 2 to 4. Memphis, I wouldn't be surprised if those totals for Memphis go up a little bit. It seems like the models might be trending a little bit more towards Memphis, so we'll see. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if those totals do go up a bit. We'll keep an eye on it. What about Northern California? Yeah, the storm's not going to have any problems for California. I'm going to go ahead and say right off the bat here. So yeah, you're good. You're good with the system. In weather, just in normal weather, you're going to be mostly in calm conditions. Yeah, you're probably not going to see much of anything over the next little bit. It looks like it's pretty dry out there in California. We do got another system that might come near Baja California, in the EPAC. That is here for the 13th. Yeah, we do have an area you can see above me here. 60% chance probability of development. So we're probably going to get a system out here in the EPAC at some point. Let's see here. Rob said just got out of the Marines and moved to Army. Well, I appreciate your service, man. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Do I think it'll move more west? I'm not too sure, Jasmine. It really depends. I mean, the models are likely going to be fluctuating a little bit over the next, couple of days as we narrow down the landfall path. As of now, it doesn't show any indicators of really going west. It's kind of holding strong where it was for the most part. So we'll see. Let's see. Good evening, Stefan. Hope you're doing good, man. What about Pearland, Texas? Let's see here. I don't know where Pearland here. I'll pull it up over here, though. Here, let's hop y'all over here. Pearland, Texas. Yeah, so you're in the cone. You're in the cone. You're out there in, basically South Houston. So, yeah, like I mentioned, Houston needs to watch it, because still in theory the storm could make landfall near Houston, but more than likely it's going to be east of Houston for the most part. I think that landfall point is going to be mostly east of Houston. More than likely it's going to be, like I said, some in this area here, either south central or southwestern coastal Louisiana, either that or northern coastal, kind of near Galveston or north. But yeah, Houston, yeah, you should watch it, of course, Still not entirely sure the full impacts that you're going to have out there. Once again, if the storm kind of hugs the coast a little more, you're probably going to get more heavier impacts. But if it's further east of you, then probably less. But the good news is that more than likely you're going to be in the clean side of the storm, like I mentioned. That left-hand side is clean. It doesn't really support any tornadoes. Meanwhile, the right-hand side, that's where we have strongest instability, strongest moisture. We have a veering wind shear pattern, meaning that the winds are changing directions with altitude, which is prime condition for tornadoes. So the right-hand side would cause maybe some tornadic activity and some water spouts. Areas out there towards Mississippi, Louisiana will probably be in a tornado threat for Wednesday. Probably even Wednesday, and maybe even into Thursday too. Because, like I said, landfall is going to be there for the evening of the 11th as of right now. So we're expecting the landfall to be somewhere in here for the evening of the 11th. So we'll keep an eye out there for that. So it'll be nighttime, unfortunately. Chrissy says hurricane. Yeah, yep. She's forecasted to be a Cat 1. Like I mentioned, I personally think the storm's going to be, maybe the mid-upper level Category 1. Worst case scenario, some models do support Category 2 now. I wouldn't fully be surprised if, top kind of worst case scenario, maybe low in Cat 2. Can't be ruled out. I mean, as of right now, I'm expecting Cat 1. We're expecting Cat 1, but, the way, if models continue to trend the way they are, if they keep on going east, and, continue to show what they're doing, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it's a little stronger. Don't be surprised if you see that number go up eventually. But as of now, it's at low in Cat 1 according to Hurricane Center. That's what we're going to stick with for now. Okay. You're welcome, Chad. No problem, man. I have family in New Orleans. Gotcha. Yeah, New Orleans definitely needs to watch it. We're going to have some surges too, likely even impacting some of southeastern coastal Louisiana. Yeah. Surges will be an issue. So a lot of water coming in. Once again, obviously the stronger the storm, the more water is going to be pushed inland. So we'll have to see, based off of strength, how much surges we're expecting. There's no surge map right now. But yeah, the surges will be an issue, regardless, for sure. So between surges and all that water kind of pouring in, for one, also that heavy rain that we're talking about there too, there's a lot of water. There's going to be a lot of water involved. And not to mention, like I mentioned last week, these areas got a lot of rain from a lot of moisture that rolled through. We covered the flooding there a little bit ago. I don't know if you guys were there or not, but yeah, we did cover the flooding for Louisiana just last week, and they got a lot of rain, and they're going to get more. So plus Louisiana in general has never really been good at holding rain. For my folks who live in Louisiana, obviously you can tell. Oh my gosh, Stefan, dude. Stefan coming in here with a $20 super chat, man. Thank you so much, Stefan. That is really sweet of you. Big shout out goes to you, Stefan. Thank you, dude. That is like really nice of you. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Stefan. That is really nice of you, man. You did not have to do that. That means a lot to me, and like I said, that really helps me out a lot. So thank you so much, man. That's really nice of you. Big shout out goes to you, Stefan. Thank you. Let's see here. Do I think that Rose Pine will get hit? I'm not too sure that's at Brent. Oh, Louisiana. Rose Pine. Okay, I was about to say. Let's see here. Rose Pine, Louisiana. Okay. Yeah, so you're in the area. Yeah, you're definitely in a region where I would want to keep an eye out there for. As of now, that central low could go over you, if not right next to you. So where the center of that storm is, it could. You're kind of in the middle of the cone right now. The good news is that you're not right on the coast. If you're on the coast, that'd be more of a problem. Since you're inland, it's gonna be a little bit less impacts. No storm surge, of course, but you still get some heavy rain more than likely. Are you kidding me, man? Dude, Stefan coming in with another $20 super chat, saying good evening from Louisiana, bro. Stefan, man, good evening to you, man, too. That is really nice of you, dude. Holy cow. I mean, Stefan just donated $40 in super chat, like total. That is awesome, man. Thank you for your support, dude. That means a lot to me, man. Thank you so much. That is really nice of you. That is super sweet of you, man. Thank you so much, man. Stefan, you are a lifesaver. Appreciate ya. Big shout out goes to you. Any post landfall for central Georgia around Macon? No. The storm here is going to be well to the west of Georgia. Yeah, Georgia's not going to have any form of impacts with the system here. Like I mentioned, the remnants of the storm is going to probably kind of lodge its way up into the Midwest here. Maybe like the western Ohio Valley, potentially. At this point, though, as we approach these areas, the storm's winds are going to be like no more. Those winds are going to be fairly weak. I mean, gusting 40. That's still under like severe thunderstorm criteria even. I mean, that's low end stuff. That's just a low pressure at that point. But yeah, mostly just rain as we get up here. Meanwhile, though, like I said, for Louisiana, though, that's we're gonna still have a lot of rain and winds, even towards central sides. So, let's see. See, I wanted rain. I hear you, man. Let's see here. But yeah, once again, Stefan, man, I can't believe that, dude. Thank you so much for your support. That's greatly appreciated, man. You are amazing. Big thumbs up to you, bro. Thank you. But yeah, like I said, if you guys have any final questions before I roll off here, go ahead and throw them down in the chat. Like I said, I got to make dinner and stuff like that, so I got to head off here soon. Plus, we've been live over an hour. Our typical forecasting updates last about an hour, so we can lay out all the information and stuff like that. Tomorrow, like I mentioned, we'll try to do 2 live streams, one in the early afternoon, and then one in the evening. So we'll have 2 different ranges of models coming through, so we'll be able to give you guys some more information tomorrow. We'll be live for you guys, so if you haven't already, consider subscribing, leaving a like. It'd be greatly appreciated, and the most important thing you guys can do is actually share this content. Share it to your friends, family, neighbor, coworker, whoever, just to help get the word out there, man. And like I said, that will help out a lot, and maybe tell them to distribute it as well. The more people that we can get weather aware, the more potential lives we could save. That's the ultimate goal here, is to keep you guys safe, keep you guys weather aware, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep you all up to date. Let's see here. I know it's not showing, but do I think it'll be a depression if it hits Okaloosa, Iowa? At that point, the storm would first of all, the storm's going to be to your southeast, and no, it would not be a depression at that point. It would be a post-tropical. It would just be an ordinary low at that point. The depression status kind of gets cut off as it goes through Arkansas, and obviously, yeah, you're out of the cone here, so it's not going to be a depression by the time it gets there. Loretto? Yeah, I believe that's the name of it, right? Let's see here. Let me pull this up real quickly, and then we're going to head off here. Like I said, guys, once again, final call. If y'all have any questions or anything else you want me to go over again, let me know. Put it down in the chat. Let's see here. 2024 hurricane season. I always forget the names this year. I think it is Loretto, though, if I'm not mistaken. Wait a minute. What am I saying? I am an idiot. We're not even near L. Sorry, it's just I've been up a while. I'm just dumb. Francine. Francine's going to be the name for this one. Yeah, we still have quite a while before we get to the L names. We have, so this year we have Alberto. We already had Beryl, Chris, Debbie, Ernesto. We've already had those ones. This one is going to be named Francine. Then Gordon, Helene, I think it is, Isaac, Joyce, Kirk, Leslie, Milton, Nataline, Oscar, Patty, Raphael, Sarah, Tony, Valerie, and William. Those are the names this year. Yeah, Francine's the next one. So this one here is going to be Francine. This is future tropical cyclone Francine. Or, yeah, it will be tropical storm and hurricane Francine. All right. Well, once again, everybody, final call. Like I mentioned, if y'all have any final questions, this is the last time I'm going to ask. If there's any questions you guys want me to, if you have for me, anything you want me to go over one more time before I head off here, let me know, and we'll go ahead and do that for you. Let's see here. I love seeing the clouds from hurricanes in Indiana. The clouds can be pretty interesting. They really can. Do I think this will bring thunderstorms into Missouri? Let's see, actually. Let me pull up here. We're going to... I'm going to pull this up for you guys here. We're going to hop over here real quickly. I'm going to check and see. I don't know if there's going to be enough instability in the atmosphere to do such. So let me try GFS here. We're going to turn on thermodynamics. And why is there not instability? Okay, let's try Euro then. Because apparently there's not any instability way or any way of tracking instability on this model here right now. Let's see, thermo. Here we go. Cape. Do fill. Okay. So as the storm kind of brews and rolls its way up here, yeah, probably not. Probably not. Yeah, because as the storm rolls up, you can see the Cape thins out. That's our fuel in the atmosphere for thunderstorms. Completely gone. So yeah, probably not. Probably not. You might. I mean, in Missouri, you might get some rain showers, but probably not anything like heavily convective. Do I think it'll make a major hurricane? Probably not. Probably not. I think maximum this thing will get is probably Cat 2, based off of, that's what I see the models right now. Some of the models are hinting Category 2. I am standing strong with like upper level Category 1 at point landfall right now, unless I see like a lot of changes in the models, which they have been. If we continue to trend in that fashion, maybe Category 2. We'll have to see. But I personally think this thing will be like maybe an upper level Category 1. So that's where I kind of stand with what I believe. Do I think there'll be a tornado chance in Tennessee? It depends. I think it's possible, because we're gonna get that cyclone-induced tornadic activity. We're likely gonna have some tornado problems here midweek for Louisiana and Mississippi, maybe Tennessee, maybe Western Tennessee. We'll have to see. Ragtie says great show tonight. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for now. I appreciate y'all for being here. Once again, thank y'all for hanging out with us here today. Once again, a big shout out goes to Proxy, Steve, Stefan, Mark, as well as Crystal for you guys supporting us today. Thank you seriously so much for all of your support, guys. Like I said, it helps me out. It helps keep things running, keeps our programs up and going too. So you guys help. Your all support literally is helping paying for my radar program so I can keep on giving you guys information. So thank you guys to the folks who have donated. Thank you all who haven't as well, just for hanging out with us and, watching the weather. I appreciate y'all for tuning in here. Once again, consider subscribing. I'm not going to hold you to it, but, consider it because it could help save your life one day. If crazy weather goes into your neck of the woods. Like I said, we cover the main 48, so we cover a pretty broad area here. And like I said, in this case, we're really monitoring Louisiana and Texas, Mississippi at the moment. So, these are the areas currently in the highlight zone. But alrighty, everybody. Once again, I appreciate y'all for being here. See you later, Weather. I appreciate you joining here, man. See you later, SPC. See you later, Roadster. See you later, Christy. See you later, Everett. See you later, Brent, Orva. And, of course, everybody else. Emmanuel. See you later, guys. Thank you all for joining. Much love to you. And alrighty, everybody. Once again, one last thing. If you guys want to check out our cool merchandise, it is pinned there in the comments. We've got some pretty cool stuff also there. It's pinned in the description if you guys want to check that out and support us as well. Be much appreciated. But alrighty, guys. Thanks for joining. We'll catch you all tomorrow for 2 updates here. One in the afternoon and one in the evening. See you later, guys. Thanks for joining. Y'all take care. Have a great night. See you guys tomorrow.